For June the 14th, 2017, we talk about Dead Cells, Valve's recent banning spree, and we do a free play multiplayer. Welcome to level 203. My name is Cole Ross.
I'm Dennis Furia.
And Merkel.
And you're listening to The Level. It's a podcast for people who love video games. We're not sure where David is. We hope he's okay. He may pop on later on, but who knows? I
did see a bat signal going across the sky, so that's kind of suspicious.
Yeah. Cincinnati would be a very hard town to Batman around in, I think.
It would.
I saw a spider signal, so he'll probably go in the other direction of that.
Wait, are we saying that there are two people in this greater Cincinnati area with very powerful spotlights that are controlling David's movements? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Commissioner Gordon and Commissioner May. Yeah.
Away from Marvel towards DC.
Yeah. I don't understand that joke.
Spider-Man, Batman?
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. I thought you were talking about DC was trying to recruit Spider-Man, but I wasn't sure if that made... I didn't think that made a goddamn lick of sense. So we'll figure it out. I think
that'd be an interesting fanfic. Batman and DC just beating up politicians, not killing them,
right?
Just beating them within an inch of their lives.
See, I thought you were going to go a different direction with that. I thought you were going to say that DC is actually representing a real Batman versus his inventor, and he's having publication right debates with them and threatening to leave for Marvel to animate his adventures.
I think what we've shown is all of us hear what we want to hear.
Yeah. Very true. Unless you want to hear David, in which case there's not a chance.
Right. At least not right now. He's not online. I'm sorry, folks. We can't help you. So we're back after another week. So sorry to take one of those so hot on the heels of missing a week before, but it was the 4th of July holiday here in America. But we are back and in force.
Did you guys do anything fun for the 4th of July?
Dennis, you're the person with a family. What'd you do?
Nothing. I think that might have been the night we watched Moana, perhaps. That would have been later in the week. Anyway, yeah, we've got a country club basically across the street from us, and every year they do a gigantic fireworks display. So
nice.
We kind of watch that out of our window.
Nice. Yeah, that's the thing that is hard to communicate about Cincinnati, and by hard to communicate, I mean it never comes up. We're not a big 4th of July fireworks town. Our big fireworks are on Labor Day.
Yeah, go figure.
Yeah, it's a damn fine fireworks show too. They put a barge in the river. They shoot. They close off the bridges and they shoot them off the bridge. It's a good time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which hyperlocal humor, the bridge is always closed right now. So.
Oh my gosh.
Would have even caused a ruckus.
Yeah, actually, it makes it easier for me to get to work.
Really? Well, you're going the same way I am, so yeah, I guess I honestly haven't had much impact.
Yeah. Well, it's just less traffic on the specific route that I use.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh well. For me, I went back home to Mansfield on the 4th. My grandma on my dad's side, we had a surprise birthday party for her.
Oh.
Arranging the surprise is always the tough part when you're dealing with somebody who's 80.
Yeah, it's got to be a soft surprise.
Yeah. It's kind of like stopping a dragster. You have to have a couple of stages of parachutes that come out. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I was just out of town and with family and kicking it a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Kicking it a small bit. How about you down there in what, if I remember correctly, is the absolute surface of hell in the sun?
It's pretty warm, and I was actually outside on the 4th, but we had a party where we emulated another podcast called Hot Ones. Have you guys heard of this show on YouTube?
No.
It's a video podcast, or just a video series where a person interviews a celebrity, and they both eat buffalo wings of increasing spice.
Okay,
so
yeah.
They start at sriracha, which is 2,000 Scovilles, and they go up to about 500,000 Scovilles across 8 wings. So we got some of the sauces from the show and tried to do the same sort of thing. We made it to about 40,000 Scovilles, and then all of us quit.
Are Scovilles logarithmic?
The sauces on the show are logarithmic.
Okay.
you can make it like halfway through and you're like, this is fine. And then you eat like one and it's twice as spicy as anything before. And it just keeps going that way. Okay. So it's pretty.
So they're natural logarithmic. They're not log 10 like the Richter scale.
I guess you could say it's exponential. Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Huh.
But I mean, it's depending upon how you choose the wings. You could make a linear scale if you wanted. Whatever.
if you so choose. Yeah.
The Richter scale is an appropriate comparison.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is making me regret I did not pay more attention in that linear math class that I took in college.
Linear algebra. Yeah.
You took linear algebra, like that
was the only math class I was required to take in college. It's pretty nice. Well, other than accounting, but that's not real math.
Linear algebra is a pretty intense class.
Yeah, that was kind of like a level 300 class for like computer science and stuff. Like,
it's
that was
also an engineering weed out class for mathematicians. Yeah, or math minor weed out class, if you can believe that exists.
I really wasn't paying attention.
Yeah,
didn't even know how difficult it was.
Yeah, huh. So that's pretty cool. So you were both out in the hot heat and also eating very, very hot wings. Huh.
Yes. I had ice cream.
Sleep in a freezer that night?
I had ice cream afterwards and ate Tums. We were all good.
Oh geez. Yeah, that's so I've kind of figured the show we did last year in Austin really put the fear in me about heat, because that was hot on the heels of getting the tops of my feet burned when I was in Virginia like a week before that. So I mean, my legs were cooked and they were peeling and stuff, and then we're just like dying out there. It's like, at what point do certain cities in the South like switch over to a daytime or nighttime model? And like literally it just flips, and then like you cross over a certain municipality line, and then just you just flip AM and PM, and that's when the world is habitable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I don't know. I like the culture of Austin because I feel like everyone still goes out. It's just everyone is sweaty together. You know, like there's a nice yeah.
It's a shared heat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cool. Well, we've got an announcement to make about an upcoming event on July the 28th. From that Friday through Sunday the 30th, our community is holding a streaming event. It's being organized by some folks to support Jala, our co-host here and friend, and all of that, to help her pay for some medical bills. She's alluded to it a little bit on the show, but she is currently recovering from a procedure for cancer, and people have already started coming out. So they have a GoFundMe set up, and we've got a whole roster of folks getting in there and doing a thing. So consider checking that out. We're going to put that up on the front page of Duckfeed and all of that. It'll be very similar to like a Duck Stream, but this time in the summer and for Jala.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah, and she's talked at length about her ordeals in the Wellness Actually Slack channel.
Mm-hmm.
And so, the cancer is the thing providing the bills. But there's her life over the past 3 months, gosh, probably even more than that now, has just been absolutely crazy. So I cannot think of a person, one, more long suffering, who has gone through more crap with a better attitude.
Yeah. She does not show it.
Yeah. And more deserving than she is. So I'm thrilled. David and I at some point are going to be streaming Killing Floor 2.
Yep.
For some co-op wave defense madness. It should be a good time.
Yeah. And Gary and I are doing something on Sunday afternoon, and we'll have more specifics about that when it comes together. We're pretty excited about it. So
that sounds awesome.
Yeah. Neat. Is there anything else that we have by way of this front level, the front matter here, the banter or announcements or things?
The foyer of the level, as it were.
Yeah. Before we go in,
No, I think we're good.
Okay, cool. Well,
it's just us three, man. We can let our hair down.
Yeah, we're rocking a 3-style. We don't gotta be so formal. But we've got the usual kind of show for you: the brief, the multiplayer, and the grind. And why don't we get started with the brief, where we talk about the things that are happening in the world of video games. Here's a hint: not much. Super slow news week. So
usually how it goes after E3.
Yeah, we're just rolling up. I'm curious, like before like Gamescom maybe. I don't know, but I want to hear, Ben. You've got a story that I considered doing, and I want to hear the specifics. Tell me what Valve is doing.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have a Valve dominant news week. So the story that I have in particular is about Valve banning 40,000 accounts recently in the past week. The interesting fact of why they did this, or I guess the conjecture of why they did this, is there's a spike of bans after the Steam summer sale. So apparently there's a lot of bans because people buy games that are discounted at this time to do different cheats on each of the games to see what they can catch and what they can't in case they want to cheat more. Because apparently people like to cheat on video games.
Yeah.
I forgot that was a thing.
They make it a sport. Yeah.
Yeah. So in particular, they mentioned that a lot of people are doing this on Counter-Strike Global Offensive. I think that was also like on sale for like a couple bucks during the Steam summer sales. So that might have been why. And one of the interesting facts they said is that with all the bans, there's an estimated about $9,000 worth of items in the games that were purged because of this.
Right. Like those items that were kind of issued out as a result of these of the cheating behavior that would have been unleashed on like into their economy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a weird underbelly of the Steam sale, but
yeah. Huh, I mean, it makes perfect sense that they would have that, that would like ratchet up around that time, because I think everybody is doing more stuff on Steam, right?
Mm-hmm.
Huh, 40,000 accounts.
Mm-hmm.
And like getting who knows? Because any of those people could be, if they're going to be doing these cheat explorations, they could have set up like a burner account or something like that. Like with a prepaid thing. Like the big deal about getting your Steam account banned, I think, is that you can't access your shit.
Yeah, I think they do something where they'll do a single game ban on an account where you cannot play that specific game anymore, but you can still access other ones.
Okay.
But I'm not sure. I do not know the tiers of banning that Valve has. So I'm sure there's a permaban.
What depths they can throw you to.
Yeah.
Huh.
Oh well.
Yeah.
Don't cheat.
Yeah, if I was in a position, I would say definitely don't cheat if you're on Steam, because that sucks for any number. Oh, David, I didn't see you come in.
Hey, wormholes, aliens.
Yeah,
David is an alien.
He just phased in.
Yes.
Phased in. We had a couple of. You're gonna have to go back and listen, but we had a couple of theories about both bat signals and spider signals. So.
Oh, there we go. Bat spider signals. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
So, just as a point of order, I think generally a good policy is just don't cheat regardless.
Well, if you're gonna cheat, don't get caught.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe be the cheat, but
Oh, of course. Then you're an adorable, an adorable cantankerous little what's it? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
That's what's in my work development plan under career goals.
Become the cheat.
Become an adorable cantankerous little what's it?
Ah, yes. Yeah.
That's like you ever see that motivational poster or whatever? They told me to dress for the job I want, not the job I have. So now I'm about to talk to HR or dressed as Boba Fett.
Yeah. I have not seen it, but I believe I have caught the gist of it. Yeah. So you just had like first, let me say congratulations on your on your job.
Hey, thank you. Yay. Yeah. So I just I'm not sure how much of this actually like gets past the pod sensors or whatever, pod based sensors. How?
Well, I mean, it depends on what you want in. If you don't want to say the name of your company, that's fine. But you're here in Cincinnati.
Yeah. So basically, I was unemployed for a extended period of time, and now have a job, which is pretty awesome. I'm back in Cincinnati, working at the church that I actually have had some involvement with in the past. So it's really neat place, doing some good work.
Nice. Are you at the one in Oakley?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm actually doing it's a huge church. I mean, just massive church, and so they have a lot of actual like programmers they hire to set up like the resources and stuff like that they use, and then also they do a lot of like spin-off, a lot of like charity and things like that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of crazy because it's straight up like full-on computer programming, but in kind of a different environment. So but I'm really enjoying it.
Well, that's awesome, man.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah. Cool. Well, you came in right in the middle of the brief. Ben just told the story about some Valve cheaters that got banned. Keeping in the Valve theme, Dennis, what's going on with Half-Life?
Yeah, a huge Half-Life announcement.
Finally, the day has come.
That they patched
Half-Life
out some
4?
random bugs in Half-Life 1.
Ooh.
The original Half-Life. Yeah. So they released this patch, and of course everyone's blowing it out of proportion, and everyone is screaming Half-Life 3, but
going back through and looking for like secret hints for an ARG or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. Which, the Half-Life has earned that kind of community, so I'm not going to like smirk at anyone who does that. Sure. Be excited about yourself. Yeah.
And clearly they are doing everything they can to make us say ARG.
Yeah. Well, there are worse games to go back and play and pay attention to. Like Half-Life is pretty good.
Yeah. Oh no, I meant more just dangling 3 in front of us only to pull it away.
Of course.
I thought it was interesting though that they name checked the people who pointed out the bugs that they were fixing in the patch notes, with Twitter handles and everything.
Yeah.
That's just so they can blame them later when it breaks.
All those people
/blame.
All those people have been getting death threats for the past 48 hours. I don't know why I'm laughing.
I was going to say, like, that sounds like an amazing way to get doxxed.
Yeah.
But they, it's random situations with malformed code and something about a weapon switching glitch and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So, not huge patches, but fixing it's still the same. And I thought that led to an interesting question, which is, at what point do you get a bug report or get someone saying, hey, this isn't working, or I found a way to break your game, and just go, oh, that sucks, man, but we're not working on that anymore.
Ship sailed.
Yeah, like we're, especially in the world of infinite beta and all this stuff, like when do you get to that point?
Yeah. I mean, that point is when you open up the game for other people to just like mod and, continue development on. Like there are games.
I thought it was once the Kickstarter funding ended.
Once the funding period ends, yeah. But no, there are whole games that have been released incomplete that have been, patched up and, had restored content put in. I'm thinking of like Coder 2 or, Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines and stuff. Like, I think that's the point, is when you say, you know what, you spotted it, read a book and fix it for us because we don't care. We give this game away for free. Like, it's...
They kind of already did that with Half-Life, right? Like that's Gary's mod and everything, so...
Well, I know with the, what was it, like... What did they call the recreation in sources, like Half-Life Black Mesa or something like that?
That's like a fan project that's been under development for like a decade.
Right, and for like a long time, and I think it still is more or less this way. They basically said like if you played Half-Life 2 and want to play Half-Life 1, just play this fan version.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
So
the game is still $10 on Steam right now.
Well, I mean, it's good money if you can make it.
It's almost 20 years old.
I'd be interested to know what percentage of Steam games that makes it more expensive then.
A fair number, I would imagine.
Hold on, I'm going to look at the recent reviews of Half-Life on Steam.
Oh, Jesus.
By the way, Black Mesa is $20 currently.
Yeah. It was kind of a big deal. It was that and that weird continuation of Portal 2, or like the Portal 2 like side story, like Mel's story or whatever, that was allowed to be put on the store. I can't recall if they charged money for Mel's story though.
I think that one's free, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I just know that like the random headcrab zombies and not something I needed to have updated to HD.
Right. Oh man, what is it? 13 years later, still too much. Yeah. You cut us off a slice of those reviews, Dennis.
Oh man, so I'm looking exclusively at the negative reviews. The whole premise is just a run-of-the-mill. We scienced too hard, and now bad things are attacking, and you're the only one who can stop them.
Never science too hard.
Game controls are absolutely horrible. It's like playing on ice. Hope no one can get raged by Blast Pit Electric Water by Remaster instead. Let's see here.
This plays like a 20-year-old PC game.
A classic game in every sense of the word, but unfortunately not timeless. Okay, oh, that's actually coherent.
Yeah, I can see that as a raising modern play concerns to a modern audience. Like that makes a little bit of sense. Mm-hmm. Give me one more.
Nope, I'm done here.
Okay.
That's the review, not my answer to you. That's literally the review.
I mean, maybe not just.
the most kind of surprising thing on that, like you would expect a lot of people to be reviewing or downvoting Half-Life 1, with memes about Half-Life 3 not being delivered and Gaben and LOL and Steam sale, like all of that kind of just like shitty internet citizen stuff. So like that's what I would have expected. It's kind of weird that is not there.
Yeah, I'm sure if I dug for it enough, but all those reviews, by the way, from like the past week.
So
it's crazy.
So this is semi-related. In the course of the aforementioned like significantly extended job hunt, I interviewed with Amazon, and their headquarters, like every like floor and conference room and stuff like that, is named after one of the infamous Amazon products. So like the how to avoid large boats and the banana slicer and things like that.
Oh yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, like how to avoid large boats is the name of a book that you can buy on Amazon. So like all of their stuff, that's like how they do their naming for all of their like breakout rooms and stuff.
That's pretty funny.
So you gotta own those crazy reviews.
Huh. Can I read my favorite Half-Life review?
Yes, please.
Half-Life, not counting the dash, has 8 letters. You write 8 like EIGHT. 8 has 5 letters. 8 minus 5 is 3. Half-Life 3 confirmed.
Oh, jeez.
It's there.
Yeah, this is something Blizzard does as well. Like Blizzard has released like Diablo 2 patches pretty recently as well.
Doesn't Valve have like a corporate system where it's like everyone is the same, work on whatever you want, there's no rules?
Yeah, it's a sore spot for me. I think that is a terrible way to run a company. But
yeah, it probably leads to patches to a game 2 decades after it's been released.
Yeah. That's
The caveat is you have to hire people who are like really self-motivated. It would be like if I wanted to run a podcast company, I would hire Kole and then not tell him how to do it.
Right.
Just like, hey, go work on what you want to work on.
Yeah. It's called Halacracy is what it is.
Here that is. Where is Half-Life 3? Not Half-Life 3. Those reviews are there.
Okay, cool.
To be fair, not Half-Life 3 is an accurate review.
Actually true.
Okay. That's good. They're applying the Airbud defense to shitty Valve reviews. Yeah.
Oh my god, guys! I just clicked on the Half-Life bundle, which has everything, and Half-Life 3 is in here.
No, it's not.
No,
it's not.
Anyway,
so I've got a story here. This is, again, it was a very slow news week, so I'm going to tell you about something that I've ordered that is on its way. It's going to be here tomorrow. So I've talked about those the Legends of Localization books, right?
Oh yeah.
But
I am intrigued.
Yeah, no, it's a guy used to work on like a prominent like Earthbound website, like fan community. He was one of the people who I believe helped do a fan translation for Mother 3.
Okay.
He has turned his attention the guy's name is Clyde Mandolin, or he goes by Mado on online. He has turned his attention to like doing these books, like these really nice, well laid out, kind of like very thorough looks at the way that games have been localized. So they put out the first one was a book about the translation and localization of the original Zelda. And like it does comparisons across versions. Like it's like, oh, you know, and then here's a screenshot from this strange version that was released maybe like in 1992 as part of a different bundle or something like that. Like you'll notice that they used a different kanji here. Like it's very granular. Did a similar treatment for Earthbound, which I'm slowly working my way through. It's very dense. But I think in order to just kind of keep himself working as he works on the next big one, he has put out a new book called This Be Book Bad Translation, video games, ! This Be Book Bad Translation video games. It's a small book. It's like 64 pages. It's kind of, it looks like it's laid out like a coffee table book or a bathroom reader. And it's mostly screenshots, but it is kind of notable examples of just really botched translations or, you know, weird lines, things like that, you know, from the 70s up through, you know, roughly modern day. You know, and there's some stuff in there that you would recognize. You know, you'd expect to see like Zero Wing or that wrestling game that says a winner is you. Huh. But there's some stuff in here by the previews that I wouldn't have expected to see, or, you know, have no idea what it is. And all of it is kind of accompanied by just saying where this might have gone wrong.
Okay.
Yeah. So like it's literally in the mail. Like I'm a believer in this guy's work. It's super cool to have like well produced books about video games like that. And it's a cool topic.
Yeah, right cool. There for all the grammar nerds out there. It sounds like.
Of course. Yeah.
That is something that like I'm really excited that they are, you know, people are taking video games seriously and localization, stuff like that. But I'm kind of sad that we aren't going to be getting like the Zero Wing translations anymore.
Well, we're going to get them, but they're going to be done like tongue in cheek. You know, it's going to be done on purpose. Yeah. Like the cool thing about these is like the way he writes these up. It leans into the two things that I'm really, you know, kind of like fascinated with, which are, okay, the way games are made, like what process did this go through, you know, from like a production standpoint, and even more so than that, like just the mechanics of language, and, you know, especially like comparative language, or like what limitations were put on the person who did this, like just like looking at the rules of the way these, you know, these disastrous sentences were put together, or, you know, the really good translations. Like Earthbound is a notoriously very, very good translation. And that book goes into like exactly all the loving care, you know, and it even like has like interviews or, you know, features about the individual localizers who worked on it. Yeah. Like I said, it's baller. It's great. So
very cool.
Yeah. Like this is a plug. I don't know. Like I'm just talking about, hey, here's my news. A product exists, but it's a product I'm very excited about.
So this is going to be a kind of tangent, but it does wrap back around there.
Okay.
You know, Monday, Thursday is the you know, the Thursday before Easter when you know, traditionally Jesus went on trial, and you know, traditionally they read you know, you go to a church and they read basically the story of the trial, which includes Peter, you know, denying Christ. And the church I go to is very, very, you know, Orthodox, very conservative, and they read the NAS, New American Standard Version, which is basically designed to be like a super literal translation of the Bible, like nearly word for word. Okay. The idea being that helps with studying. The problem with that is they actually render like all of the gender articles. So when as Peter is denying Christ, he is doing it by saying like, man, I do not know what you're talking about. And I can never keep a straight face. And this is like a really dark time in the story where you're not supposed to laugh.
Right. At least you're not doing the version of the story that is like, oh shit, dog.
Yeah. Something. When did Peter become a Southie?
That's pretty good. Hey, Dents, what's a Southie?
South is South Boston.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay. No, I don't know the guy.
Yeah, okay.
Thought I told you.
Yeah,
He's wicked smart, wicked divine.
Oh man. Huh. So yeah, that's my story. David, what you got? Round us out.
Sure. So, someone, I originally saw this on Hacker News. Someone in their like infinite, needing to program things, created Wikipedia the Text Adventure. And basically what this is you can go to any Wikipedia page that has a geolocation, so that, which basically means any Wikipedia page for an actual place, and it renders the main kind of sidebar main image for the story in this sort of pixelated style of like the old like Sierra or actually even before that, like the Colossal Cave Adventure style like images. And takes and kind of does a summary. It looks like it basically takes kind of the introductory paragraph, and then using the the geolocation, it finds geographically nearby locations, and will tell you like you can go north to go to such and such.
Yeah.
So they start out with, there's a couple of suggestions on the main page. So for example, I started out in Pripyat, or however that's pronounced, which is the town in like basically is Chernobyl.
Yeah. And it's the what is it? The Ukraine province where Chernobyl is.
Right in the city, yeah. And so like then I went northeast to the Azur swimming pool, which is a indoor swimming pool that was abandoned during the disaster, and I could then decide to like go, I don't know, northwest to the Pripyat amusement park or northeast to the Polizia Hotel.
Huh.
So it's just this really, really bizarre, way to consume Wikipedia, but that actually works.
Huh. Are there any goals built in?
No, I can think of like, I kind of have the urge to like do a Twitch plays where we attempt to like circumnavigate the Earth or something.
Oh, jeez.
Huh.
I mean, wouldn't they just be www. You're home.
True, but think of all the sites you would see on the way, and also just think of when the something awful contingent makes it their mission to get you to, fucking UK or whatever that city is.
Right. I mean, so there are a couple of different games that you can do with Wikipedia, right? There is wiki chroning, which is comparing the relative lengths of different Wikipedia articles. So, for instance, just doing a print screen on God and doing a print screen on Goku. And seeing that, generally the ones, and this was true like 10 years ago, the last time I did this, but it's like, generally the more niche topics have the more exhaustive, the more exhaustive articles. The other one, and I cannot tell you where I heard this from. It might have been another podcast, Life is But a Dream. But it is hit random page, and then just by clicking links, so no typing or anything, try to find your way to the article for lesbianism in erotica.
So,
and then it's how many clicks it takes to get there.
See, we used to do the same idea, except doing like races. So who could get to a subject the fastest?
Okay. Yeah, I think lesbianism and erotica is a way to standardize that. Like it is setting a common goal point.
It's the gold standard.
Yeah, it's like I got to lesbian and erotica from Mike Pence in 12 parsecs.
Right. Yeah. But then you memorize heuristics about like which topics might get you there. Yeah.
Sure. Well, and I mean, from a slightly academic standpoint, like there is a lot of research that goes into like, what does it tell us that, I don't know, lesbian erotica is more connected to classic novels or something than like, I don't know. You get what I'm saying.
Yeah. I couldn't tell you why the one that I heard about was lesbianism and erotica outside of like prurient reasons,
Right.
But
right.
just
also
just
the more we say it, the less it sounds like an actual thing. It's like, do those words mean anything anymore?
I've got it open. Yes, it does.
Multiplayer.
Now it is time for the multiplayer. Where usually we ask you a question and you answer it, but Dennis, you have decided to make it free play this week, where we have them ask us questions, and this is more similar to something like a normal letters section.
It's all your fault.
It's been a minute since we've done this, so
it has
felt like time.
It really has. So I'm going to get us started here with Sam, who writes. What's the longest time you've kept a single game of a game going while not necessarily playing it every single day? For example, I've been playing the same save file of The Witcher 3 for probably a year, but I've gone weeks at a time without touching it.
I just finished it, Danganronpa. That Danganronpa 2 played out over, years.
It was like a year and a half at the very, very least.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh. For me, it's hard for me to say because there are plenty of games, and this is technically true for any number of games that I just haven't beaten. But when I play Dark Souls games for Bonfireside Chat, like when we go through for this season, obviously I play it through, one or two times before we actually start recording. But the playthrough that I use to like brush up and research and play an area so I can take notes is generally always the same. So like those games of Dark Souls, while actually being quicker than my first ones because I know what to do, end up taking 10 months to get through from opening credits to closing credits.
Huh. Are there any large sections of the game that you skip?
Not when we're doing it before the show. I go and I touch everything I can. Yeah.
You get in trouble for that.
You get in trouble for everything. David, how about you?
Sure. I think that there's probably some like Dark Souls that have just been things I've grinded on forever, but I think probably the biggest one is probably Kingdom of Loathing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, and actually in particular, I had one run through the game that was one where basically I got a fair ways into it, then decided to try to get some of the more grindy achievements or trophies in the game, and then at that point decide to get the achievement that for getting level 30 in a single class, which by comparison, I think it's like once you're level 20, the experience you need to get to level 30 is equal to all of the experience you've needed so far. So it takes forever. And so basically by the time I was done with it, that run took about a year.
Okay.
And by comparison, like people that are speedrunners on it will take like 15 days would be kind of a like beginner speedrunner, and I think now like just a handful of days would be like a pretty good speedrunner.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
And Ben, do you have one?
Yeah, I think this answer might crop up for a couple questions, but Rocket League I've been playing for about 2 years now, so that's up there.
Can we really constitute Rocket League a game for you? I feel like it's now, I don't know, a pastime, maybe?
A way of life.
A ritual.
Way of life.
Thomas writes, which game from your past do you wish you had a copy of still? My mint inbox NES copy of Stadium Games.
Oh man.
No, I didn't. I never had that.
Disappeared into the ether.
Yeah.
You had it at one time, or you just wish you had it?
Oh no, I never had that. That is that is a game that notoriously is worth $10,000 or something like that. Although
okay.
I guess it's not anymore. That's an outdated joke because I think somebody found a whole pallet of them and it diluted the value. Yeah,
flooded the market.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not technically a game, but I had the demo disc for Jack X, which had the 3 previous Jack games cutscenes stitched together to make a Jack and Daxter movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I got it in the mail. I have no idea. I never signed up to get it. It just arrived in the mail one day. And I had it in a special drawer because I was like, this is interesting. And then I, moved and have no idea where it went.
Yeah. I wish I had my original copy of Zone of the Enders because it's really, really hard to I looked, trust me, to find that Metal Gear Solid 2 demo disc.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. You can't really download a ROM of it. David, I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
So I have almost all the games I've ever owned just because I actually didn't start gaming till fairly late. So I think for me, there with the box set or whatever for the Dinotopia point and click adventure game, there's an in-game card game they had created, and basically there's a deck of cards with it, and the game was sort of a variant of Rummy combined with Go Fish, but I have no idea where those cards are, so I think that would be maybe the thing. Just to kind of cheat, if there's games I never owned that I wish I did, it would probably be Metal Wolf Chaos.
Oh shit, yeah. Yeah. Or my original Xbox so I could play a burned copy of Metal Wolf Chaos.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure that's probably not at all hard to get in playable form now. Right. I can probably download it right now, but still. You
can download a ROM, but you also have to have an original Xbox, which are actually in dwindling supply. And it might be more money than you are willing to spend for a defunct retro console. In addition to that, I believe there's also some tampering that you have to do, which I'm positive is not very difficult. But it is just a lot of trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think more and more for me, it's N64 Smash Brothers, because it's I can still play that game today, and it is just as fun as it ever was. Yeah. It just does not appear to age.
Yeah, you were playing that as recently as college.
I was playing that as recently as with my coworkers a couple months ago.
True enough.
Yep.
Jonathan writes, I've heard everyone on the podcast mention that they put a lot of time into games. When they have the time, what is the most hours you have put into a game non-Dark Souls related? I myself have put over 200 hours into Zelda by now. So we have both answers. We have Rocket League for Ben, and we have KOL for David.
All right, but what are the hour counts on these?
Oh, Jesus.
See, I would have to say, recently, it would be Warframe. I passed the 100 hours mark a while ago on that.
You were like a little baby.
Yes.
No, I'm anticipating what Ben is going to say as he finds that page on Steam.
563.
Right.
563, nice.
There you go. And I would say lifetime, other than maybe some MMOs, also for Sam's actually, World of Warcraft, I've played since launch, have never made it to the level cap.
Oh,
Sorry.
Yeah.
So I would say I put in a ton of hours into Diablo 2 back in the day.
Yeah. Mine would probably have to be Final Fantasy Tactics. Sure. But that is in a single playthrough. That is probably one of the few games outside of maybe FF7. But that maxes out at $99.99 on the or $99.59, I guess, on the timer.
Sure.
So who knows? But even over multiple playthroughs, each of those plays, ends up lasting a while. So yeah, that would be my default answer.
Have you been following the Final Fantasy Tactics talk on the Slack?
I've been dipping in and out.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And Dennis, how about you?
Yeah, I'm trying to do the calculation here. It has to be Hearthstone, but that doesn't have a game clock.
Right.
But I've probably averaged 45 minutes a day every day for the past 3 years.
Yeah.
So add that up quickly in your head. 5 times 3.
5 years.
5 times 3. About 821 hours.
Yeah.
If that estimate is to be believed, and I would have no trouble hitting an average of 45 minutes a day.
Yeah.
So I graduated my undergrad with a guy that stopped playing video games after his undergrad when he checked his /played in World of Warcraft for the last year, and it was in the neighborhood of 100 days.
Oh,
he had
Jesus.
literally spent nearly a third of his life playing the game.
Yikes.
Yeah. I don't know why they have the /played or /days. When I played EverQuest, I think I got up to like 10 days of played, which is not anything when it comes to those.
EverQuest is probably the number one game I have fantasies of going back and beating or whatever, or whatever beating means.
Yeah,
but yeah,
for any definition of that, yeah.
Get my epic weapon, I guess.
Let's see. Michael says, if you could have access to any temporary buff from a video game, what would you choose? I think being able to cast haste on occasion would be way useful.
Well, that's a good one.
Yeah. Haste is a very good answer.
So I know for me, I don't know if this would be my one if I was actually gonna pick my one for the rest of my life or whatever. But the one I most often wish I had is when you're following a car and it's just refusing to go on the speed limit and you're in a no passing zone. I routinely wish I had the star from Mario Kart.
Can I? Maybe this is because I'm looking at a calculator, but can I submit the memory recall button from the calculator? I'm trying to freaking remember something.
Yeah, I'm sure that's something in a game.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And Ben, how about you?
I do have to say, actually with that, rewind time from Sands of Time and not from Life is Strange would be pretty good.
Yeah, we just recorded Duck Tracks today, and I forget if Michael was the one who submitted the question, but we answered the question, which video game super ability would you most like to have? And time rewind, despite the fact that every game that has that ability in it is all about how that is a terrible thing to do. I still would like to have either that or a time turner or something like that. I think that would be. I
still have huge reservations about that in Life is Strange, but some of you need to play it, so I have someone to discuss this with.
And Ben, how about you?
Maybe the jump ability at the beginning of Elder Scrolls Morrowind.
Yeah.
As long as you could also have heal springs from Portal.
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Oh, it's when you're walking out of the first town and you hear somebody screaming and there's an elf there who has a scroll of massive jump or whatever. Yeah. It's just to show you that
1,000 times jump.
Yeah. It's something crazy. If you use it, you will, and you always do this because you have quick save. But yeah, you always use that and then jump and then you die on your way back down. It's a really good good tutorial for the way you have to keep different things in mind when you're using spells in that game.
See, my favorite, I really liked the boots of blinding speed.
Yep. Yeah. Oh gosh, Morrowind is a very good video game. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Skyrim except with plot.
Roop writes, has having your own kids or close relatives having them changed your perception on child cruelty in games? For example, the brain collection in Metal Gear Rising, or the whole of That Dragon Cancer.
So I feel awful laughing, but I can't think of that subplot in Metal Gear Rising without thinking of the whole thing with him slicing the kid blatantly in half, and then the doctor, luckily you sliced off the top half, so I saved him, and he'll still be able to have kids.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. God, that whole game is really upsetting if you think about it a little bit. It's meant to be upsetting. It's like it's a worse RoboCop, a more brutal RoboCop.
The darkest timeline of RoboCop.
Dennis, I want to put this to you first because you are the one who has children.
Yeah, I was trying to think, and fortunately, I guess I can't think of that many games that have child cruelty in them. Probably more. I've had to start thinking now that like Luke actually can have a conversation. I need to be more careful about what I play with him in the room. Because like, you know, when they're 6 months old, you sit them on the lap, you boot up God of War, and you know you're fine. They don't know.
Yeah.
But now it's like, oh, that has dismemberment, that has all shooting. What can I play that's spear fighting? Gosh, like.
Also, you don't want them to, you know, get the idea that God of War is like an acceptable, you know, quality level for games.
Yeah, I don't want you to see me playing this. I'm fine with the violence. I just don't want you to see me playing this. No, so then it's like, you know, Journey and Hohokum and that sort of thing out the wazoo.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that more so than seeing anything in a game that particularly like affected me differently.
Yeah. I cry at like the drop of a hat. Like I can't handle anything anymore. I was playing What Remains of Edith Finch today, and there's a lot of there's just a lot of terrible shit that happens to kids, and like it's presented in a very, you know, like whimsical big fish kind of way. Here's my the grind, but like I'm just like, oh god, no, like it's a game about people in a family dying. Of course, like you know what you're walking into when you get that. Like, yeah. But I don't know if that's like a function of having younger relatives, because there have always been, you know, young children in my life. You know, I got my first niece when I was like 11 or something like that. So, you know, I think that like that softening is not so much about like, oh, violence against children is especially rare. I think that it is more just like maturity making me far less emotional in a lot of ways, and far more emotional in some very specific ways.
Sure. I am significantly less able to feel love, but more able to feel anguish.
Ooh, pain? Yeah, I'm tuned in on pain, man. Ben, do you have an answer for this?
Not applicable is what I wrote down.
David.
Yeah.
Not applicable is also fine.
Yeah, I can't think. Like the only game I can think that like brings this in is Army of Two, and that game was like always morally repugnant.
Yeah. Let's see. OMG Amoose says, which game genres are complete garbage to you? Don't have to actively hate them, just game genres that give you no entertainment personally. Open those cans of worms.
Farmville.
What?
Farmville and Farmville likes.
Oh, are you talking like social games, or are you talking like management games?
Oh, no, yes. Social. Anything that asks you to ask a friend for more time to play.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. A lot of mobile games kind of don't do it for me anymore. I've kind of developed the antibodies to them. It takes a lot, but that's a delivery service for games more so than most things. Yeah, racing games, honestly, unless it's like a Mario Kart. Sure. Yeah, let's say like racing games outside of Mario Kart and Burnout. Even more so than sports games. I can get down on a football game. David, how about you?
I think for me it's probably fighting games, just because I'm horrible at them, and my alternative is doing martial arts.
Okay.
I would say puzzle games, other than like situation environmental puzzle games like Deus Ex.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a real love-hate with roguelikes.
Yeah.
I think roguelike, I like a lot of roguelikes, but I think making any game a roguelike makes it worse.
Like you would like to have a non-random, non-permadeath version of games with like those kind of mechanics.
Yes,
most
exactly.
times. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. And
granted, I realize that most roguelikes wouldn't work if you literally took out those features, but you know what I mean.
Right. Take that out of Isaac and you have a shitty Zelda clone.
Right.
Yeah. And Ben, how about you?
Yeah, I would say like sports or fighting games I usually bounce off of, unless it's Nintendo making them for some reason. Then they seem to be pretty good. But yeah. And then, yeah, kind of to double up, anything that's kind of like a pay to play, where it's just making you click a whole lot, or anything that's like grinding, I usually do not like those games.
Yeah, you're not even like that down on like DLC generally. Down with, I'm sorry.
Yeah, usually
So
like
that's actually one of our later questions. Do we want to jump to that?
Yeah, let's see that. And that'll be the last one because we've been going for about 20, 25 minutes here. Jonathan writes, do DLCs actually bring you back into a game? I bought The Witcher 3 and Fallout 4 on launch. Thought that they were good, so I bought the DLC in advance. Never went back to play them. I think buying the DLC in advance was the problem there.
I actually tried to go back to The Witcher 3 as well, so I couldn't relate to that one in particular, where I had a hard time getting back into it after having not played it for a couple months. But yeah, I think the only times I've been able to dive back into DLC are things like the Red Dead Redemption one, where it's like they completely revamp the mechanics and it's like almost like a new game.
Yeah, I think my stance is I think that DLCs are pretty much garbage. However, I think that expansion packs are not.
Yeah, and the problem is, like, expansion packs are not a thing anymore, and it's all called the same number, right?
Right, and I'm saying that semi-facetiously. What I really mean is, like, I think the problem with most DLCs is they're kind of cop-outs to, to just make a quick buck. Whereas if you look at something like most recently, the DLC for Darkest Dungeon, where it dramatically changes the game, or like the ones for XCOM.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's kind of where my mind went. That if the DLC is like tacked on missions that are meant for once you've finished the game, you go back and do something else. Probably, there definitely is like a loss of momentum when I see those credits roll. However, when it is integrated throughout, I think of like obviously the XCOM DLC. The Mass Effect DLC did a good job of being like available from the start, and like a little bit hard to tell if you already had the DLC, which was separate from the main game and which was integrated into, or part of the main game.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how I'd like to see people do it versus mission packs on the end, and I'll definitely play that. But yeah, in terms of coming back, not so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's tough for me because I almost never play a game through twice. That tends not to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And so ones that require you to do another run through the game usually are non-starters for me, just from practicality.
Yeah.
So cool. Did you ever kind of a weird version of this? My understanding is that a lot of the DLC for Dishonored is sort of like tacked on mission packs, but it seems like people really, really like them. Did you have any like relationship with those?
So the original Dishonored has had some DLC they had one pack that was like, hey, here is Corvo fighting some dudes in areas. It was like, challenge packs, a little bit like what you got like in like Arkham City mostly. Yeah, like the challenge rooms or whatever. However, like the lion's share of the DLC for Dishonored 1 and also what like the Death of the Outsider DLC for Dishonored 2 appears to be, or like these broader campaigns that add new things. And the only thing that I think kept that from being marketed and like hailed as this great expansion pack was the fact that it was broken into two parts: the Witches of like Dunwall and such, or the Knife of Dunwall and the Witches of Brigmore, or something like that. But yeah, like, I'm not that crazy about like the challenge room DLC, which again, like that to me reads as DLC. I wish that we got to the point where we were fine calling it an expansion pack, because like, I understand why they don't, because expansion packs were like extra things that you bought for a PC game when you went to Babbage's, and like, maybe your mom bought that for you thinking it was the real game, and then, you have to go back and buy the main game. We're not doing that. We're returning this, and you're getting you're getting a job, stuff like that. Like, I understand, but like,
and that's how I got a job as a 6-year-old
at Babbage's.
Yep. But like, I understand some of the reservations about it because it does have like loaded connotations. However, those loaded connotations are 15 years old at this point, and like, they can bring that back and just have DLC be extra costumes or whatever, and extra content be the be expansion packs. I don't think that would be extremely hard to do.
Well, and I think some of it for me, and again, I realize this goes into like choice and stuff like that. I think part of the problem is to make a lot of types of expansion pack work, it has to be kind of non-optional in the way that like if you look at like any of like the StarCraft,
Yeah.
That game, the much grittier version of StarCraft, like playing it without Brood Wars just like wasn't really ever something they intended to leave you as an option.
Right.
And I feel like that's something that is kind of necessary, because that's like why the Call of Duty expansions don't really work, is because, most people opt out of them. Mm-hmm. Therefore, in effect, even if you buy them, you might as well not have.
Yeah, and now we're confusing like the multiplayer content and like fracturing the community for like the other stuff too. Like, it is like the imprecision of this language is actually very infuriating to me.
Although I do think it even gets into some of the single player, just because like there is something to be said for there needing to be like one kind of canonical version of the game that even in single player that people are interacting with.
Yeah. Far be it from me to praise BioShock Infinite, but I actually liked the way they handled that with the main game and then Burial at Sea.
Oh, see, I maintain solidly that BioShock Infinite is worth playing so that you can play the DLC.
Yeah.
Like, or at least that the story is incoherent without the DLC.
Yeah.
The Eskimos had over 50 words for DLC. I think we could all use a little more.
I think we could learn a lot from our from our native friends up north. I really do. Yeah. So
I don't know. The Canadians scare me.
So thank you everybody for writing in. Like usual, any of these ones that we haven't gotten to, I will transfer over and we'll save them for later. Maybe not the next free play, but possibly for like a cleanup at some point.
Next DuckCon.
Yeah. So if you want to participate in these, go to facebook.com/the level podcast, and those go up on Tuesday afternoons.
The grind.
Now it is time for the grind, where we talk about the games we have been playing over the past period of time or so. David, since you were not here the last time we recorded, I'm going to throw to you first.
All right. So been doing actually a couple of things. Dennis and I were talking earlier. Just got back into Vermintide. Finally. Basically they decided to release a patch for the game. However, unlike most patches that are like, oh, we fixed some things, this patch was, oh, we added 11 gigabytes of new content. And my hard drive did not have 11 gigabytes worth of content boxes.
Right. You didn't have enough content juice.
Yes, exactly. So it's, I know, still a lot of fun destroying tiny rats and sometimes large rats.
What did they do? Did they just like take a bunch of expansion content and then fold that in?
So they added, they've been adding like a lot of new items, like random loot you can get and things like that. But the big thing they added is lore pages that you could find in the level, and it's actually kind of interesting because to significant, it's like somewhere between like really, really awesome and kind of also a cop-out, in that they basically realized, oh, Warhammer has like decades and decades of really awesome lore. We can like just have like logs for you to pick this up and find and like learn about the world you're playing in.
They copy pasted it from the wiki.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm kind of joking. It actually is pretty cool, but it is kind of funny that they all of a sudden did this like random U-turn into like being super lore based.
Right.
I can't believe that was 11 gigs because maybe I just had the space on my computer, so I never saw when it downloaded. But I did not remember that update being anywhere near that size.
Look at me, yep. I'm Dennis. I've got a big old hard drive on my massive computer.
2 hard drives. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and I've got my PC has like 4 of them.
Yeah. Damn it.
Yes, but which RAID number do you have?
They all serve different purposes for like media capture and stuff.
So RAID 0.
Yes. But they back up to Backblaze, so or to something like that. Crash Plan. I forget. I just I send somebody a check.
I just don't remember where.
Yep. Well, that way it's more safe.
I'm a little afraid that North Korea is getting my backups.
Somebody named Kim, but with a 1 instead of an I, is looking at my shit. Yeah. Continue. I'm sorry.
So I've been playing through. I'm trying to gear up the Witch Hunter class, and I'm just having no luck whatsoever. I'm getting lots and lots of awesome loot for every other class, but not the one I want. So yeah, that's just kind of a thing.
Right.
Other than that, I picked up Dead Cells. I've been playing through that a lot.
Yeah, that's the I think Ben talked about this last time. That is the roguelike or like Rogue Legacy style game that uses Castlevania type play, right?
Right, exactly. Mm-hmm. It's yeah, very much so. It's, I would say, like the other like obvious comparison to it would sort of be Salt and Sanctuary, because it's pretty like Dark Souls inspired. However, the gameplay is much faster. In particular, you has a really strong like dodging rolling mechanic. So it's really incredibly solid gameplay. Also has really likable animation. Your character doesn't have a head. Like you're basically a mass of cells that are possessing a decapitated body. And so all of your like quote unquote dialogue with NPCs is entirely via you pantomiming.
Oh, and nice.
It's really well it's really well animated. It's not so much done as like a sort of like, I don't know, a silent movie or like a Looney Tunes version thing, so much as it's done at more of a like the character kind of forgets that he can't speak and then like realizes and has to communicate via like thumbs up and shrugs. So the only two things I'd say are a little bit downside is I'm predominantly getting through the game via cheesing. Okay. In that it's
the
just
bombs.
Just like a Binding of Isaac, it's very dependent on what drops in the run. Okay. And most notably, the bombs are very powerful because they don't require you to go toe-to-toe with enemies. And I haven't found any sort of advantages actually to going toe-to-toe with enemies.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's just a little bit unfortunate, although it's also sort of the answer is don't play that way. Mm-hmm. The other thing I'd say is a little bit frustrating is they have the Dark Souls inspired, like when you die, you drop all of your cells, which are kind of your upgrade juice.
Okay. Oh, and you have to play horse with yourself to get back to it.
Right. Well, the problem is, one, you can't get back to it. Like, once you die, they're just gone.
Okay.
And also, there's no way to, part of Dark Souls is the risk reward, but there's no way to end a run early or like, say like, all right, I'm going to call in and cash these in. So you basically have to beat the current level you're on.
Okay.
And the big problem with that is, a lot of times, like say you're doing a run where like, you've never made it past this level before, and then you get into the next run and like, you're having a really great run, but then, chances are you won't make it all the way through. And the problem is then that run where you were doing very good, instead of being rewarded for it, you actually get nothing for it. Because, getting farther than you ever got before has no meaning unless farther means to the end.
Right. To a point where like you get to a checkpoint and that extra time and performance is like logged and capitalized. Right.
I want to jump in here for a sec because I've been playing this game as well. I do think there's still a risk-reward aspect in the game. If you're close to death, you have a choice of either continuing to explore the map you're on or beelining for the exit. And because
that is true. That is
at
true.
the end of every level, you turn in your souls for whatever
that's definitely true.
So there's never like a point where, even though it does suck, if you die in the middle of the level, you lose all those permanently. In between, if you make it to the end of the level, then you can turn them in no matter what.
Yeah, and I guess it is semi-randomly generated, and I've had a couple of situations where like I made it a long ways towards the level, but never found an exit. So, but granted, that is, was kind of bad luck. It's not always that way. So yeah, that's a reasonable point. So yeah, I really like it. I'm hoping, I'll be interested to see. Right now it doesn't have virtually any plot. And I'll be interested to see if they do anything with that, because there's at least, seems to be some implication that maybe they kind of want to do that. But
the whole aspect of you being controlled by some slime thing. Yeah.
Right. You're right.
Yeah,
and like there are a couple of NPCs early on that like kind of make some, commentary to you, but then like nothing goes anywhere. So
there's also a door at the beginning of each run that you can't open.
Okay.
Right. Although when you try to open it, again, pantomiming, you adorably like yank on the knob and then attempt to like kick it down and then, kind of shrug and walk off.
So that's very Rogue Legacy like though.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's cool they have mystery built in. I think that is a prerequisite for this kind of game, especially one that is fainting towards souls. Right,
exactly. And it's, to be fair, it's fairly early access. Like from what I understand, the gameplay is pretty developed, but I think they say they've got like effectively like 2 levels out of 5 approximately, I think they said, finished.
Yeah, I never realized this was early access. People don't talk about it in those terms.
Right. Yeah, the gameplay, like, again, other than just there maybe being like a little bit of lack of, plot and stuff, the actual gameplay is completely solid.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think of how many levels they have. I think they have somewhere in the neighborhood of like 7 to 9 to 10 different levels.
Yeah, I think what they mean is, though, if you look at like every like 2 or 3 levels, there's an actual boss. So I think they kind of consider some of those sort of sub levels. But yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
those poison scorpions are assholes, though.
Yeah, that's a tougher route to go. I wanted to speak to that a little bit. One of the interesting things is there's a lot of like branching paths. So like the main pattern of the game is you're in a map, you explore the map. There's like a certain fixed things that are going to be on the map. Like there's going to be like a treasure room where you get something for free. There's also a riskier treasure room where you can take a cursed treasure where it's better loot. It's like 3 items instead of 1 item. But you have to kill 10 enemies without taking a hit. And if you take a hit, you instantly die. Even if there's like a couple things that like save your life during a run. Like there's one where if you die, it'll regenerate you with full health or whatever. That doesn't even work with the cursed treasure. So it's definitely a risk if you take those. But at the same time, some of the best runs that you have, or if there's like 2 risky treasures or whatever, and you take both of them, like you're way overstated for the level that you're on. So you can do some damage. So yeah. That's one thing that's pretty cool. The thing. So that's like the template for a level, but then there's a bunch of different like branching paths you can go on. So from the first level, I think there's 3 different options of where you can go. Some of the paths can meet up again later down the line. Some of them can't. So figuring out that kind of geography is somewhat interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yep.
So I got to the end of the game as well, or where it currently is at the end of the game. My one complaint with it, and this is similar to like my complaint with the Witness, is you just die. So sorry if that's a spoiler, David, but like your character, you'll get to the end and it's like your character's progress is like completely done.
You ran out of game, so you just fall off the edge.
Yes. So even if you win, you still lose, which is kind of a bummer. But
so yeah, gamer Christopher Columbus was wrong this time. You do sail off the edge of the game.
Mm-hmm.
That is non-fortunate.
But
do you lose your progress?
No, you still like your progress. What you buy with your cells is permanent, but you will lose that individual character, much like all your other ones. So, yeah.
One thing I do kind of like, and this is just kind of a flair thing, but all of the upgrades you buy, basically, like when you first start off, you like walk through this sort of alchemy room where there's all these flasks hanging from the ceiling, with by chains, and they fill in with all of the upgrades you've bought. So most of them are like weapons and things.
So it shows your overall really progress. Yeah. And that's another aspect is randomly people will drop plans for different weapons. And so if you kill them, take the plans and make it to the end of the level, you can then unlock those like in the in-between stages when you turn in your cells.
Although the one thing I wonder is like some of them are fairly explicitly not as good as the others. And yeah. I kind of wonder if you'd actually be in your best interest not to unlock them.
Yeah, it's there's definitely some weapons that are better than others. Do you have any favorite weapons yet outside of the bombs?
So bombs and turrets for like skills, and then I would say probably my favorite are throwing knives and the like Castlevania style holy water fire thing.
Is it the blades that you throw that will cause a fire on the ground?
Yeah.
Okay. I was gonna say there's some.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say there's some cool synergies in the game too, where you have a oil sword, which is where like you hit people and it'll cover them in oil, and then there's another weapon that's like flaming daggers that you can throw and it'll catch them on fire with the oil and do more damage. Or there's an electric whip, which is one of my favorite weapons.
Oh, so that's one of my weapons I consider worthless.
Oh man, that was the first one that I upgraded all the way. If there's somebody who's standing in like a pool or anything like that, when you shock them, it'll shock the entire pool and like completely incapacitate them. Yeah.
See, my problem with the whip is one, like it requires me to get way too close to enemies and doesn't stun them.
It gives you more room than the regular weapons. It has range. It helps you find secret areas, and it doesn't run out of ammo, which is my only complaint with the daggers, which comes up with boss fights. Yeah,
see, my general policy for secret areas is just I'm constantly tossing bombs.
Yeah.
And I've also it auto aims, and I've had instances where I was trying to stop an enemy that was charging at me, and it auto aimed on a different enemy, and I got killed.
Yeah, it always auto aims to the closest thing, so that is
right.
Yeah, that can sometimes be unpredictable, but
I would say that
not what you intended.
Yeah, the weapon I would say that's completely worthless. I don't see much point in the shields.
Yeah, I didn't use those at all either.
And then I generally prefer the faster melee weapons. And then any weapon, there's a whole bunch of weapons that will be like, does double damage, but you take double damage. And from what I've seen, those are always a bad idea.
It's very risky, yeah.
especially because like there's environmental damage, so like spikes and stuff.
Yeah, it makes travel much more dangerous.
Yeah, especially halves your health.
They do have some really creative enemy design that I like. In particular, I really like there's a enemy that basically in a radius around them makes other enemies invisible.
Invincible.
Well, there's also
no,
invincible
there's two. Yeah.
invisible.
Yeah. The Catholic priest guy.
Yeah. Yep.
He has like the smoker tools that you might see at a Catholic church.
Like a sensor?
Yeah, and it shrouds all the other people.
Nice.
Yeah.
One thing that's super good about the game too is the way that the enemies' like movements and attacks are telegraphed. Like when they're about to attack, there will be like an animation for them like right before they do it, and there's a lot of like good sound effect design and a lot of good like animations, like so that you can kind of predict what they're about to do and when.
Right, and the dodges are very it's not easy to do. Like it takes a lot of skill, but it's one of the things I didn't like about Dark Souls, and I realize this is totally like different people see it different ways, but I never liked the parry mechanics because it just seemed too finicky to me. And
that's something that got you've played a lot of the series. The window for that got wider, but I could see being unwilling to take the risk.
Right. And one of the things I like is, granted, like once you start getting like more sophisticated enemies and multiple enemies and combinations, it's not like it's safe, but like dodging any given attack is something you can almost always reliably do, which is really nice.
Yeah, I can see that.
So, yeah, it's a really good game.
Yeah, you're making a good sale. Like it sounds very Isaac-y to me.
Yeah, it definitely I feel like has a lot of that DNA.
Yeah. Cool. What else? What else have you been playing?
Sure. So let's see here. Played a little bit more of Killing Floor 2. The main takeaways are I'm horrible at playing it on the console. So that's kind of a thing. But I talked about this before, right?
Yeah, a little bit about Killing Floor.
Okay, yeah. So the main thing I kind of noticed in it that I wanted to talk about that I think is really cool is, I mentioned before how it has really cool, like they put in a lot of detail in terms of the weapon handling. One of the things I actually really like about it that I noticed is if you hit the reload button when your weapon is already loaded, there's actually an animation for you checking the ammo.
Yeah.
So you'll like, if you're using a revolver, you'll like flip open the wield and like check how many rounds are loaded, or
it's like Trespasser.
Maybe.
It's that Jurassic Park game that was like way ahead of its time and
kind
of janky because of it. Yeah.
Yeah, the over the top sound design stuff. Yeah. So it's really well done in that respect. So that's all I really had for that. The only other thing is I feel like me and Dennis should tag team this because we both did a lot of Lovers in Dangerous Space Time.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I did not know that was a game title earlier when you were referencing that.
Yeah, I really like that game title. That's just such a great one.
That was a couch co-op again.
Yeah, but both of you ought to talk about that because I was a dummy and missed your text message about playing that.
Well, it's all good. So it got further than I ever had before. I think we beat the second boss, which is a giant snake, which we booped in the snoot.
No, not you too. No, that's a meme, right? It's a meme thing about a.
But in this case is also a legitimate strategy.
Where you boop a snake on its nose.
Yes. It was like that is describing exactly what we were doing.
Okay.
So yeah. So I feel like describing and this, you can probably describe this more elegantly than me, but I feel like describing the way like weapon upgrades and stuff work is probably fairly relevant to this.
Yeah, so like you get, little upgrades dropped into your ship from time to time, and you choose whether to put them on a gun or the engine or your special weapon or the shields or, so you kind of, it's one upgrade and there's multiple places you can put it. And you can get a power gem, a beam gem, or a metal gem. And like it would sound, like metal gems are better for your shield because it makes it more defensive, and beam gems are better on some of the weapons. Power gems kind of generally just make anything more effective, although we liked them best on the weapons. But we're like, screw it. Let's try putting a metal gem on a gun and see what happens. And it turns your gun into essentially a flail.
Yeah, it basically uses the like old school Castlevania control style.
Yeah, and it was kind of frustratingly ineffective for most of the level, but it just so happened when we got to the boss, that was like the perfect setup for the boss that we were fighting, which was a giant snake that kind of just being able to throw the flail out there.
I swear to God, if you okay, go.
No, I wasn't going to step on it more. So just being able to throw the
no step on snack.
All right.
Don't tread on me, meme.
Yeah. So just look up. It's actually pretty hilarious.
Oh no, I know, John. You think I'd be getting irritated if I didn't know exactly what you talked about? Yep. Also, like the opening to both the Metal Gear Solid 2 episodes relate to memes. We used Please No Steppy on part 1.
Was this for Snack Eater?
No. This was it was really, really dumb. So I shouldn't be giving you guys shit.
Oh, it's all good. So like it was the perfect weapon for that fight, and the fight went really well. We beat it on the first try. I think with like just a sliver of health left. So if I have anything to contribute about the games, it's that I've...
Don't you mean a slither of health left?
Oh, damn it!
That one's for Jala.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
I feel like she is probably even now flipping tables without having any knowledge of why.
That's not a table flip. Table flip is when Kole recommends a bad visual novel. This would be a facepalm, is what it would be.
Okay. Face palming tables.
But yeah, the difficulty balance in the game is really good, to the point where you get enough. It was bunnies in the first level and rabbits in the second. I
think there's frogs in the second.
Frog, that's right.
Also, because bunnies and rabbits are the same thing.
Bunny rabbits. Yeah, the words go together. My mind just kind of connected them. Yeah, bunnies in one, frogs in another. But you can collect enough people to leave fairly easily, but it's always like, we can get, pick up some extras pretty easily, and we're next to a new area, so let's just wander over and see how it is. And it always winds up with you like just full throttle screaming towards the exit with a million enemies around you, going, why did I think that was a good idea? Why? And barely escaping with your life.
But on the plus side, usually that's allowed you to upgrade your weapons, so you're barreling full throttle while say your engine is now shooting out caltrops because you put a metal gem into it.
Yeah.
So I guess we should also say we've kind of skipped over the actual core gameplay, which is this is sort of like FTL if each person played like a crew member, and then it's intentionally designed to be like, you have 4 guns on the ship, each of which can only cover about a quarter of your ship. Similarly, your shield can only cover, say, like an eighth to a quarter of your ship. And you literally have to, like, rotate the engine around your ship to steer it sort of asteroid style.
Okay.
So all of the gameplay is, like, you not having enough crew members to actually effectively run this ship. And so you're just constantly running back and forth to different equipment stations to do whatever you need most.
Right. And like the idea being that because this is primarily meant to be a co-op thing, it's about communicating. It's like it is like a top-down 2D like space team, right?
Right, exactly. And one of the most adorable features is if you try to use a equipment station that someone else is using, your 2 characters will go into like the Looney Tunes style, like cyclone animated like fist fight, And then it'll randomly select which guy gets to actually use the station.
Yeah, which is fun.
You go full
and that usually happened. Like, we were actually trying to be cooperative, but that even then that tended to happen when, for example, normally speaking, like I tended to man the guns and Dennis would kind of direct and steer us. But then there'd be issues where like steering wasn't important, firepower was important, but so he was jumping on to take out, like, say, a really threatening enemy, but I was also running to that station and, I was looking at the enemy, not at the station. And so, like, I'd accidentally kick him out and stuff like that. There's just a lot of stuff like that. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Again, balanced very well.
Yeah.
To have you kind of feel like you're on the edge of that chaos all the time.
It's also kind of nice. I feel like it's a game that sort of does the tone of the game is sort of, cutesy and, stuff like that. Like literally the plot is that space travel runs off of like love drives and the evil, like bad guy peoples have stolen the universe's love. And so you were like adventuring through the universe, collecting hearts and rescuing people in order to fill things with love and rainbows. So it's like, it has a very like, I don't know, like something that sounds like it should come out of like My Little Pony, but it very much, I don't know, it comes across more as like endearing and just like pleasingly campy as opposed to coming across as dumb.
Yeah. It makes a little bit of sense that like the engine would be powered by love, specifically again because of that co-op angle, right?
Right, exactly. So,
yeah. Did you have anything else to say about that, Dennis?
No, I think that covers it well.
Yeah. What else you been jamming on?
Myself, we hit a lot of it with David talking about games he's played, because I also did Killing Floor 2, and I've also done Vermintide. I got the DLC for Vermintide during the Steam Summer Sale, and one of the levels that we played was one of those DLC levels. And it's like the level is in complete darkness, so one of your characters or one of your teammates always has to be carrying a torch, which is a great concept. Like it works really well, and it kind of centers the fight on that character and makes them helpless at the same time. But it's also frustrating because you can't light people on fire with your torch. And I was playing as the Bright Witch, which is like the fire lady. Like that is the red mage of Vermintide, and could not light people on fire with a torch, which just seemed insane to me.
Right.
So that's the one, like, how did you guys not think of that? Or maybe they did and they just couldn't find a way to allow you to use the torch as a weapon and have things be balanced. I don't know.
Right.
But overall it was cool to see that the DLC was not just more maps, but there were actual new concepts being introduced in the maps, because none of the base level games have anything like that. So that was really cool.
Yeah.
Let's see what else. I've been playing lots and lots of PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, mostly with other Duckfeed people, and that's a fantastic game to co-op. I feel like I'm getting better in the game at communicating, and it's one of those games, like, this is a bit of a tangent, but I've always thought like games or movies with like fighter jet scenes are always like really intense dialogue, and really fun to watch. And when you're getting into it in PlayerUnknown's, like, it feels like that. It's like, compass 30 west, shots from the east, blah, 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 this to get down, I'm going to circle right. And it's like this constant stream of dialogue and information. It's like, it just feels cool to be calling that stuff out.
Yeah.
And it's actually relevant to succeeding in the game.
Right. So it's not just play acting.
Yeah, exactly. Like you are actually relaying useful information. Like in most other shooters that aren't as open, everyone kind of has a reasonable idea for where the enemies are going to come from, and you don't need to communicate nearly as much. Whereas this, it's like I am on a gigantic island and have no idea what direction people could be coming from. So it's super important to communicate where you heard gunshots coming from, or what you thought you saw moving, or where the engine noise you're hearing is coming from.
Right.
Like it's a lot of fun that way.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's good. The two games I thought I'd focus on this week though were I tried Don't Starve on PS4, just the base game, and I was fairly underwhelmed with it, unfortunately. So it's a survival game. The idea of you're just trying not to starve initially, but then as you figure things out, get more established, you can follow the crafting tree to liberation, I guess. But every time I died playing the game, it was because I got too bored and wasn't paying enough attention.
Oh, that's no good.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I didn't start the campfire early enough. Whoops. Like I was too busy holding down X to chop down this tree and just was not paying attention. So I feel like there's a right way to do that kind of game where the list of things you want to craft and things you need to do to survive kind of keeps you engaged and you're constantly thinking about the next thing. Whereas this kind of just lulled you into not paying attention and then killed you for it.
Yeah.
So it would work maybe as like a flow game where you just want to zone out, but at the same time it's a little too punishing for that. So it's in this weird nether region that doesn't fit either of those genres.
Yeah.
I think I'm done with that. The animation I like a lot. Like
it's Clay, right? Like it is a team that is known for doing good stuff. Like those are the Shank and Mark of the Ninja people.
Yeah, so right in line with that visual style, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
But it's too bad that it's so bland then. Which there's the occasional werepig and all that stuff, so that's got a little quirk to it. But honestly, the opening video has infinitely more personality to it than the rest of the game does. So like that intro cutscene just had me so hyped, and then it was not much game to back it up.
Yeah, it's a game that I have very much wanted to like and very much wanted to be enthusiastic about, but I just have not been able to. Like it has never compelled me to go back into it more than the couple of hours that I did. It kind of seems like it'd be right up my alley, but no.
Yeah, it's so same. Then on the complete flip side, a game with like an incredibly vibrant world and huge amounts of personality that I've been playing is called Krater. And it's like an interesting. It's a Swedish developer, and the game is set in a post-apocalyptic Sweden, which I feel like I shouldn't have to say anything else to sell it than just that. So there are Umlauts Aplenty. And
Umlauts Aplenty is my least favorite Bond girl. Can't understand a goddamn word she says.
Yeah. And they've got some, like every town that you're in has a bar that is playing heavy metal music. You can kind of hear blaring on the inside, so it's very self-aware. But the world is just very colorful, and like everyone's wearing a gas mask, but just watching the way the characters walk is hilarious. Like you've got your and I guess I should describe the game a little bit before I get into that. So it's like this hybrid of a CRPG and a team turn-based tactics game, where your character that's in the world is actually a gang of 3 people. And it's a little bit like XCOM soldiers that you can recruit new ones, and they're kind of expendable, though they do level up and get more powerful. But the makeup of characters in your 3-man team determines the tray of abilities that you have. So in a normal CRPG where you've got one hero that has like 6 abilities, now you've got like 3 mini heroes that each have 2 abilities.
Okay.
And so your like skill customization comes from swapping out the people on your team. Likewise, you can also during combat press buttons to individually control those units to like better position them, or maybe you only want your sniper to start attacking versus having like your melee guy run into combat. You can individually control them that way and set up ambushes, or just get someone out of a bad situation, etc. And I think that's a really unique thing that I don't know of a direct analog that I've seen that in before. So it feels fairly unique to play that way.
Mm-hmm.
And each character, as I was getting at, has just like the way they move is so different. Like you've got the the Bruiser, which is like this big, aggressive, tanky guy who kind of runs forward into everything. Then there's the sniper character who's almost like always doing the cartoon sneak walk, as it were. Yeah, it's like, and even when he's running, his weight is kind of on his heels, and he's like waddling forward. So it's just tons of quirk and charm. Like, some guy asks you early on to take care of rats in your basement or in his basement, and you go on a tirade against him on how cliche that is. So just lots and lots of personality to the game. I would have loved to see a little bit more depth to the abilities. So right now, as far as I see it, there are 4 different classes, and I think there's a 5th one that I have yet to stumble upon. But every member of that class has the same 2 abilities, as far as I can tell. So if you've got a healer in your party, you're always going to have, 1 heal and 1 kind of ongoing channel in your tray. What I would have much rather have seen is that there are call it 6 or 7 heal abilities, and every healer that you can recruit has a random assignment of 2 of them. So it becomes a little bit more of to get the specific tray of abilities that you want to work with, you kind of have to recruit and train up the perfect squad.
Right.
Whereas, now other than losing kind of their stat bonuses because they're leveled up, recruiting a new guy into your squad just puts the same abilities right back into what you had. So that feels like a bit of a missed opportunity. Otherwise, the combat is good. And I started on normal mode, got like 2 missions in, and was like, I can play this with my eyes closed. So I rebooted. They don't have difficulty changes mid-game, which, again, disappointment. But I was early enough that I went to the hard mode, and that felt balanced. Like that's been a much more entertaining playthrough. Right. And I feel like I have actually used the fact that I can individually control characters rather than just select all, attack, and close my eyes.
Right.
So that's been great. I had my first squad wipe earlier. It was yesterday. Because I had been playing, finished a big mission, got back to town and left. Then came back to the game and just went right out on the next mission, not having actually stopped. And I had a significant amount of money and re-equipped myself and actually leveled up my characters. And the next mission, the final boss of it got the best of me just by a hair. It was really close that I almost got out of it alive, but ended up not having enough to get through. I'm confident that if I had actually gone and bought new weapons, I would have gotten through. So that feels like I'm right on the right difficulty curve.
Nice.
There. Yeah. So yeah, it's full of quirk, fun to play, and fairly unique in terms of stuff that I've experienced anyway.
Was this a game that you got on PS Plus or?
Oh, right. No, this was with the Fat Shark bundle. So this is when I went to buy Vermintide. It was actually cheaper for me to buy the Fat Shark bundle. Fat Shark is the developer of both games. That had that plus 5 other games in it than it was for me to just buy the Vermintide DLC on its own.
Yeah.
So I picked up all these games, and I'd been reading up on different ones, and that one sounded the most interesting. So I went with Krater.
Yeah. And it says Krater spelled with a K in case anybody's curious.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
No umlauts.
What's that?
I said no umlauts.
Oh, of course. I mean, in the game, yes, they are aplenty.
A rare moment of restraint.
They didn't want to make it Krater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. But it's the evil corporation is Idea.
What?
IDEA.
Okay.
You think of a evil Swedish corporation that shares
IKEA. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Took me a moment. I got there. Took me a moment.
Yeah. Or in the rat mission, it takes you so long to realize that he's asking you to slay rats because he's got some fancy Swedish name for them. There's Hjeltersparken folders in my basement. Wait a second.
Huh.
So it's good times.
Yeah. And is that all?
That's everything. Hearthstone as always, but nothing new to say there.
No, of course. Ben, how about you?
Yeah, so talked about Dead Cells a little bit. Played that. I got to the end of it. I played it for about 40 hours, so I think I'm done with it for now. I'll probably go back and play it again when more content's been at, but really enjoyed that. I went pretty hard on that last week or two.
Nice.
But yeah, definitely recommend that game. I also started a couple other ones. I started a game called Hexcells that I picked up on the Steam sale. Have you guys heard of this game?
Why does that sound familiar?
No. It's like it's a small little puzzle game. It's on the level of like one of the games that I played 2 weeks ago called Line. It's basically a small mathy type puzzle. Basically, if you miss doing math homework, this kind of fills that void a little bit. It's kind of like a Sudoku and it's kind of like a math problem. It's kind of like Minesweeper. I mean, I don't know how old this game is. It's the one that I'm playing in particular is called Hexcells Infinite. So this might be, whatever iteration of the game, and it might have been like a base game before.
Right.
But basically the way it works, it's similar to like Minesweeper, but it's like a hex grid instead of a square grid. So given hex, you'll click on it. It'll say how many around it you need to mark. And then you have to try and use logic and math to figure out the puzzle. But then there's 6 like stages of the game, and each stage will introduce like another mechanic on top of that. And it's recursive. So each mechanic will persist the rest of the game. So it's kind of interesting. They'll start to do something like Sudoku where they'll have like on a line of this hex grid, it'll tell you how many are selected on that line. And so you have different lines that will kind of cross. And so it's pretty fun. I think I'm on 5 of 6 worlds, so I'll probably beat it soon. Again, it's a tiny little game if you're into like that as like I'd not say like a time killer, but if that's enjoyable, then that's like that's a fun little outlet.
If that is a game that will scratch a particular itch that is in your head based on that description.
Yeah.
Also, if you have an itch in your head, you might want to have that looked at.
Yeah, and we don't want this to escalate to like a pie situation.
Yeah. Don't itch it with machinery.
Yeah, don't pie yourself.
Yeah. So if that game is not abstract enough, I started playing Kerbal Space Program as well, which I picked up on the Steam sale. Man,
we've lost him.
I have not played that one too much. I've only played that.
To be fair,
that's
exactly what the Kerbal said.
I have not lost a astronaut yet, so I don't know if I've been playing it right or not. But I've also only played it for under an hour, so I'm still just going through the tutorial missions right now. But wow, I between like coming home from work, working on a side project, and then going to that, it's like, wait, this isn't a game. This is another side project that I have to do.
You're learning literal rocket science, Ben.
Yeah. So I only did the first 2 tutorials where you build a rocket, you launch it, and then it comes back down, and but while you launch it, you can play with the mechanics. So you can play with the rotation of the rocket, and it's like the pitch, the yaw, and the roll, I believe, are the 3 different axes that you control with it. Basically, should have killed my Kerbal guy, but for some reason he lives. Probably because it's a tutorial, because it's nice. I wanted to see how many G's he could take before he'd pass out.
I turned my ship into a centrifuge, trying to see if they would model his flesh being separated from his bones.
I wanted to see like if they would do it like Interstellar, if he would pass out and his head would kind of go limp and his arms would go up. Did not happen, so he was fine. He can withstand the G's. So I will continue that later when I don't want to play a game, but I don't know. There's a lot of tutorial missions, and it's like it's very dry at the beginning, I think. So it seems cool, but yeah, you just need to pick the appropriate time to play that sort of game. So
this is even one of the coding games they've started making.
That's true. It seems similar, where it's like it seems like they're tricking you into doing work and learning something, but.
Again, are you sure this isn't ending up in North Korea?
Pretty sure. But, yeah, so that's interesting. I'll probably continue playing that off and on as time goes on. So, yeah. Yep. That's all I got.
Nice. So I've just got the one. It's a continuation of a game I talked about a little while ago. What Remains of Edith Finch.
Mm-hmm.
Finish that up. It's like a 2-hour game, so that's not a huge accomplishment. But please, I made time for me. Made time for this show. Yeah, it's good. Apply your own calculus to the 2 hours. I think that it is a very densely packed 2 hours, especially just because you are exploring a cool ass house with lots of secret passages and stuff, and rooms from different eras. I'm gonna echo a sentiment that I heard on the Video Game Hot Dog podcast. I wish more of the stuff in the in the stages was interactable. Don't think that this is going to be something like a Gone Home, where you are like riffling through people's belongings. There's not a lot of like drawer combing or anything like that. It's mostly, you go into a room and like look for monologue nodes, for the main character to lay something out. But you're very much in every room, trying to latch on to whatever that room's inhabitants story is, right?
Okay.
Do I need to re-describe the basics of this?
You should do so for the listener, if nothing else.
Yeah, it's like a first person exploration game that would look very similar to a Gone Home or a Firewatch, but the idea is you are going home to your family's kind of like a house they've lived in for a very long time, but because of this weird family curse and superstition about said curse, whenever somebody dies, instead of repurposing a room, they seal it off. And they just kind of like build additional rooms on top of, on top of the house. So it's like this massive Dr. Seuss house that you're going into. When you go into each house or each of these rooms, you find a piece of writing, and your main character will, kind of like read this aloud, and you go into a small little, sometimes it's a gameplay section. Sometimes it's like a cool little kind of visual storytelling kind of piece, telling the story about the way that person died. And it is very like magical realism. I think that earlier in the episode, I made a comparison to Big Fish. It's very big fishy to an extent. I think it's I think it's very good. Tugged at the old heartstrings, especially with where they ended up taking the story. My complaints remain. Last time I talked about how it pulls a no-no for me, which is they do something cool, which is, whenever a character talks or whenever there is dialogue, the text of that dialogue is presented in the world. So like, it's a 3D object that is mapped alongside, the part of the dialogue. However, it will draw your cursor to that. So when I'm like going around and like, oh, I want to look at this, I can listen to this dialogue, but I want to look at these cool shelves. It will
says no.
No. It'll wrench my head over and say, you absolutely need to look at this. And so it feels very much like somebody is like dragging you by the nose through this. And unfortunately, that remains true throughout the entire thing. They do really interesting stuff with the text and the vignettes. Like, I don't want to take that away from them. I think that is a good idea that is worth pursuing. But unfortunately, like in the actual exploration, it ends up being a bit of a problem still. So that is a criticism that I would still levy against it. But overall, I think that like it is a worthy way to spend 2 hours. If you are into these kind of emotionally charged first person exploration games.
How much is the game?
I paid like $15 for it or something. It's about what you would expect to pay for a prestige walking simulator like this.
Yeah.
This
is top tier walking simulator.
Oh yeah. Some of the best steps you got here. No, I hate that term because it's so.
It has the Mario walk.
Going back to a Mega Moose's question.
What's that? Oh, those. Those. But I like those. Like that's not a problem for me. I don't like that term. It feels very reductive or dismissive. When there actually is like good stuff in there. I realize that the people who make those have taken it back or are trying to take it back, but like it is still, a shitty thing that is lobbed at a game and user reviews and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I've been going for. I installed Final Fantasy XII: The Zodiac Age. I flipped through the strategy guide that I ordered because it was a big hardbound thing about a game that I like a lot.
I feel like can you name your character Tom Cruise?
No.
I always lost track of the Final Fantasies. Final Fantasy 12 is it a standalone game or is it an online game?
This is a standalone game.
Okay. Because isn't 10-2, isn't that a Final Fantasy as well?
Yeah, 10-2 is a direct sequel to Final Fantasy X. What you're thinking of is Final Fantasy 11 and Final Fantasy 14 are MMOs.
Okay.
Which seems ill-advised to me.
And Final Fantasy 12 thinks it's an MMO, right? Or am I thinking of the wrong one?
It looks and feels sometimes like an MMO. However, it is mostly about setting up the logic for your party and kind of like babysitting while they auto fight. It's actually like a really cool system where you're like trying to design the perfect engine for combat and switching through routines depending on the kind of encounter that you're in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I might have more to report on with that. I am unreasonably jazzed to replay this game that I've played a couple of times before. But I love Final Fantasy 12, and they've done so many. They've changed it a lot for American audiences here. So, yeah. And that's all. Any other questions?
How did they change it for American audiences?
Haven't played it, but based on what I've been reading about it obsessively, is Final Fantasy 12, like a lot of the other ones, got like this international re-release kind of thing that was mostly done, strangely, for Japanese audiences, where they tweak some of the stuff. With 12 specifically, they added a job system, as opposed to just having like what they call the license board, where the incentive was toward having every character be very similar to each other, because people started like in roughly different places, but there were no restrictions, so you would just make them all kind of the same. This forces you to specialize your characters, and thus makes progression and party composition a lot more of a consideration. Yeah. And I love a job system, and I love considering party composition. So that restriction is really cool. I'm like way down for it, and this is going to sound shitty, but they include a button to speed things up.
The hallmark of a great game.
I know it sounds like damnation by faint praise, but like you are covering a lot of distance in this, and like if you have set up these systems correctly, you should be able to like fast forward and have them fight for you, right? Like all of the like tactical and strategic depth is in like building this machine. So
yeah,
that
it's like Factorio.
Yeah. And so, like, you fast forward to, like, get through, like, I'm crossing this very, very large area, and, like, I'm getting the view, and I'm seeing the cool stuff that's around here, but, as I'm backtracking, or as I'm, like, trying to get to a quest, it helps me cover the distance, in a quicker fashion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, it sounds like a weird thing to be excited about for a game you really enjoy, but yes, I think that is going to be a cool thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That sounds like an episode to me. Do you all want to button it up?
What's button?
Okay.
Buttons.
Giles is going to be very angry at you for taking that.
The credit.
Thank you so much, everybody, for listening. I want to remind you that Jolade is happening on July the 28th through July the 30th. The community has organized a streaming event to promote her GoFundMe to help her pay for some pretty gnarly medical bills related to her cancer treatment. Check out Duckfeed.tv as we get closer to that to get those details. We would love if you, even if you can't donate, if you tuned in and participated in the chat, kept the streamers company, and helped boost the signal. Otherwise, for this show, you're likely hearing this a little bit earlier than usual because of the new early release schedule. Reminder, because of the way we record this, we can't be a week early. So I'm going to try and get these out on Wednesdays. Sometimes that won't always be possible, and I appreciate your grace in advance. Check out patreon.com/DuckFeed.tv if you want to help support the network. And we've gotten some nice reviews on iTunes recently, and I would like to keep that train going. So go into Apple Podcasts or whatever app you use to access that. Mostly, I think, Apple Podcasts or the Apple Podcasts app. What am I talking about? It is so late. Help me. But go in there and leave us a rating or review. It actually really does help us and the network if you can do it. Guys, am I forgetting anything?
To go to sleep?
Never. Yeah. I've been Kole Ross at Kole Ross on Twitter.
I've been Dennis Furia at DFuria on Twitter.
I've been Dave MySmith at MySmith777 on the Twitter.
I've been Ben Merkel at Merkleizer on Twitter.
And stick around for some titles. Okay, who's got titles?
I got 4.
Okay.
All right, we got he's Wicked Divine. This is a long one, and that's how I got a job as a 6-year-old at Babbage's. So figure out how to cut that down. The next up is A Slither of Health. And then the final one is Umlauts Aplenty.
Okay, I also had Umlauts Aplenty.
All right. I had the cartoon Sneak Walk.
Anything else?
Nope.
Okay. Ben?
Ain't got shit.
Okay. I had the Gold Standard and Umlauts Aplenty. I forget what the Gold Standard related to, but I like that a lot.
That was referring to like lesbianism and erotica being the Wikipedia thing that you raced to. Or, yeah.
Any objections to going by votes and doing Umlauts Aplenty?
No, I like it. It's got a good ring to it.
Cool, yeah. Cool. Awesome. Well, I am going to go to bed.
Yeah.
All right.
See you guys around.
Later.
All right, guys. Take her easy.
Bye.